Hi, I'm Norma with the Realtor Angels, and today on our podcast, we are talking about insurance and the incredible crisis that Florida is having when it comes to cost. It is true, it is a crisis. Florida currently here in 2024 has the highest cost of insurance in the entire nation. So stay tuned. We have some great questions for him, some great answers, and especially about the new legislation that is supposed to fix the problem. So stay tuned for our podcast, and thanks for watching. Today we are doing a new podcast, and my guest is Jeff Hammer with Blue Marlin Insurance.
I'm Jeff with Blue Marlin Insurance. We're a small franchise. We have about 10, 11 locations in the state of Florida. We're a small kind of a boutique shop. We have a motto that says insurance doesn't have to be suit and tie. It can be flip-flops and beach. So we enjoy doing insurance in the state of Florida. As crazy as it is, we always try to be honest up front and let people know really what can happen, what might happen, and what should happen. Lay it all out there so our clients make good decisions.
Yeah, and they're not surprised at the end. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. There's no sense, misleading people into something. I think when they want to come out here, they love Florida, they live in California like myself, or New York, yeah, insurance here is higher, but compared to other features of our state, it's worth it. It's so worth it,
sure.
In my opinion.
The sand makes it worth it.
I know, right? That beautiful water that we have. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know that we are having such a crisis, and people don't want to use the word crisis, but I think it's a crisis. When I'm out there working with clients, showing them properties, we really have to look at the home and think about insurance before we even consider making an offer. Because there are times where we have to make an offer with that in mind, the roof, whatever it may be. We may have to negotiate our roof with the offer because of insurance today. But thank you again for coming. I drafted a few questions based on my experience as a realtor working with buyers and what I'm finding this day and age. And I understand that there's some new legislation coming out, but let me ask you the first question. What is it that created this problem with insurance here in Florida?
What created the problem? Well, other than weather, hurricanes, which we're prone to, obviously, there became an influx of roof claims back during the COVID era. Obviously having nothing to do with COVID, but in that time frame, which inundated the insurance market with these crazy claims, which are also encompassed by attorney's fees with the insurance companies trying to fight the crazy claims. That's what really created the crisis. It came on too quick, too fast, I guess. And in trying to figure out what was going on and how they were going to fix it, a lot of the companies went under. Stopped writing business in order to stop the bleeding, so to speak. The claims, the attorney's fees, and the weather all mixed together bumped reinsurance cost through the roof. And if you are an insurance company in the state of Florida and you don't charge the right premium, you're not in Florida very long.
Makes sense. Question number 2, why are home insurance companies leaving Florida? And I think you just said why.
Exactly. They weren't charging enough premium. They're already in too much of a hole, and they just decide that they can't do it. We've had probably 10 companies go insolvent since 2019. Probably at least a dozen more stop or pause new business underwriting. So we're down to the final few. Good news is it's coming back. Guidelines are opening. Capacity is opening. We're starting to see subtle changes to where companies are wanting business, which is a really good sign.
Great. We have a crisis that we're trying to solve, and there's light at the end of the tunnel in the horizon. That's the best part, right? Question number 3 is how many companies have left Florida, and I'm thinking, I don't know that you have that number, but I'm thinking almost all of them.
A lot, yeah. I think it was at least 10 have gone insolvent since 2019, and then a dozen more stopped writing. Still in Florida, they're just not accepting new business, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. So right now, again, you tell, I don't know if you have this information or not, how many insurance companies remain right now at this moment?
We write with about 15, 20 admitted carriers, and then we have a lot more non-admitted carriers like your Lloyd's of London's and those types of companies that we can place bigger outside the box homes with as well.
So when you're talking about, I used to be in lending. In lending, we have the basics. This client, this buyer, borrower meets all this criteria. We go with these premium banks, and they're going to get the best rate. They're going to get, the best loan terms and everything else. But when they have lower credit scores or they don't have enough down payment or whatever it may be, sometimes we take them to a different lender. And of course, they're going to pay a higher premium. The interest rate is going to be different, but it's like a different tier. Is that how it is with insurance as well? So if somebody cannot get the home, because really, the home is the one that needs to be qualified, correct?
Correct. There's different tiers. I normally describe to all of my potential clients that there's a handful of really good carriers, a handful of really bad carriers, and all the rest are in between. If you read insurance reviews online, Google or Better Business Bureau or just their Google reviews, every one of them has bad reviews. So the only people really complaining about insurance companies are the ones that don't have their claim handled the way they think it should be handled. Whether it be money, the type of payout, or the time that it takes to handle the claim, to process it.
Just like in every business, there's good, the bad, and the ugly. We've already talked about what's being done to curb the crisis. Obviously, I understand the new legislation that was passed. DeSantis was working on new legislation, but my understanding that started last year, before right around the middle of the year, and then everything stopped. Another insurance person said to me, now they're not doing anything because it's hurricane season, so they just stopped.
What they did was back, I believe it was October, November maybe of 22, a lot of legislation as far as attorneys' fees go, how much attorneys can charge insurance companies. They basically stopped the one-way attorneys' fees. They told us that it would take a full year to come circle and allow the insurance companies enough time to figure out what their claims payouts are really going to be with these reduced fees. That's what they told us. It would get better in fourth quarter of 23, first quarter 24, and we are starting to see those changes
Happening.
So the opening capacity, guidelines opening up, territories opening up, underwriters being nice to us on the phones.
Yeah, I remember as a lender putting up with the underwriters. They're like the gods and the gatekeepers, and so you have to. I think this is one of the most important questions to understand as a consumer myself. Which features of a home impact insurance the most?
Obviously, the easy answer is the newer the better. There are tons of features as far as the shape of the roof, how the roof is tied down, the nailing pattern on the deck of the roof, and the hurricane opening protection, whether it be impact glass or shutters, garage doors, things like that. All of those things come into a matrix, and the insurance companies derive their rates and their discounts on the matrix of those discounts. And it's all put together on what Florida has called the wind mitigation inspection. I'm sure you've done a lot of those. I explained to my clients and my real estate agents and my mortgage brokers that those discounts are not a line item discount. It's a matrix of which ones that you have that create the total discount.
Oh, gotcha. One of the things that I heard, like some older roofs, they may still be in pretty good shape. Obviously, nowadays they're saying 10 years and they need them replaced, which is ridiculous for some of them that can last 30, 40 years. But if they don't have the strapping or maybe the nailing, I don't understand that portion. That people can go out there and add those to the roof. Is that true?
You can add the clip discount, which is the mechanism that ties the roof to the outside walls. You can add the third nail. If it doesn't have a third nail, the way that came about is back in the late 90s, 80s, we had contractors that were building houses and they were upgrading the house with a clip, the little piece of metal that ties the roof down. But it wasn't code, it was just an upsell, which was a good idea. It was such a good idea that builders or the state of Florida made it code. The problem we run into sometimes is now the code is 3 nails. You have to have 3 nails in that clip. And back then, they may have only pounded 2 nails. And so you actually have people lose that discount because prior to it wasn't code, now it is, and that they changed the wind mitigation to better reflect the code, which totally makes sense.
Yes.
But we do see that, and you can have that retrofitted, have a new wind mitigation inspection done, and you can add those clips mid-term.
So it's good news for those that have a good roof right now, may not have all those features, but it could be added. It's not like they have to necessarily replace the entire roof.
Right.
This question, I think, is one of the most important ones for homeowners coming, especially the new ones coming from other states. How can a homeowner lessen the risk nowadays, with insurance or losing their insurance if they have an existing home?
Existing home, the only way to really lessen your costs is obviously closer to the water, more expensive. The older the home, the more expensive. The wind mitigation offers all those discounts. The shape of the roof, the nailing pattern in the deck and the plywood, the clips, the straps, opening protection, shutters, hurricane impact windows. We know those are expensive. Making those little corrections after you purchase a house can aid in getting your costs down.
let's say you purchase a home and maybe you buy it for cash, you don't need a mortgage, and you get just basic insurance at the time. The insurance is based on the actual state of the home at the time of the purchase. If you get that policy and you do all the improvements, can you submit some, like a new report,
Yes.
and then improve the cost?
Yeah, if you add hurricane windows or shutters or the third nail in the clip, you can have the wind mitigation redone and submitted, and you can add those discounts midterm.
And so when you talk about the 3 nails in the roof, that's something you can add to an existing room.
Correct.
Roof, correct? It's a retrofitting, is that what? And
Yes.
I know there are companies out there doing that, offering that service for people so they can reduce their
Right.
insurance risk. The most important one, what can a homeowner do if their insurance gets canceled?
Call your insurance agent right away. Let them know that you've received a letter and figure out, number one, why are you getting canceled? Did you pay your bill? We get that all the time.
Yeah.
I thought my mortgage was going to pay it. And they should if it's billed to the mortgage company, but they do have extra time to pay, and policies are automatically reinstated. The state of Florida says that just because the mortgage company goofed up, I mean, you should suffer as a homeowner, so they do have extra time to pay. If it is not mortgage billed, if you paid cash and you don't have a mortgage, there's different rules and regulations. You're supposed to pay your bill.
Yes.
Or did they do an inspection and find that your gutters are falling off of your house and you have a dead car in the driveway or a tree limb touching your roof, things like that. Some of those things can be mitigated and taken care of and have the policy reinstated.
Oh.
You may get a cancellation where the company states exposure management. And that's something that you can't help. That's just the company cutting their losses, looking at trends, maybe cutting a zip code or a territory, and then you have to call your insurance agent and have them reshop your insurance for you.
And just go looking for another one.
Yep.
And this is another great question when it comes to auto insurance. For instance, when you have auto insurance and you have an accident, all of a sudden you have a bad mark on your record, and now you're going to pay more going forward. Is that the same case with homeowners insurance? Let's say that another insurance canceled you because the limb was touching the roof and they canceled you. Is that like a record for the next insurance company?
No, they wouldn't surcharge you for something like that. If you're canceled for a reason that's not your fault, they understand that exposure management. Now, if you're canceled for claims history, what do they call it? Lack of pride of ownership. The new company will want to see the cancellation letter to know exactly why you were canceled. Were you canceled because your roof is 27 years old and it's falling apart and they can see the plywood? Now that's a red flag for the new insurance company as well.
So they may turn you down, and you may have to go to a third tier or just replace a roof. Is that
or just fix the problem as to why you're being canceled in the first place.
But does that make you a bad, record, so to speak, and now you're going to pay a premium going forward without insurance companies?
No, not necessarily. Most of those would be just an eligibility issue, not a premium factor.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Because it's not like when you have a bad accident or had a ticket and then you have to pay dearly going
Right.
forward for like 3 years
A
until
surcharge.
it drops from your record. So,
Right.
okay, good to know. Thank you so much for coming.
Sure.
You came all the way from Lakewood Ranch, and hopefully we're finishing early enough that you're not going to be stuck in traffic over here in St. Armand's. We're hoping that going forward it's going to get better and better with the new legislation in place. And so we just go from there. We will put information for you, so anybody that has questions, if that's okay, they can reach out to you.
Sure.
Obviously, if they're looking for a quote, a new carrier to expose them to, or you can give them options. So we'll put your information there if they want to reach out to you. And even with insurance, it's good to shop around,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Because you just never know. Well, thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
And on to the next one. Maybe next year when things are better, we can have an update.
We'll do a recap.
A recap, and hopefully things will be much better by then. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.